Hey, you. Wanted to, again, we landed. I love it. I love it that you and I land on so many delicious little details of, right? How are you moving forward in your own growth? So thank you for spending the time with me. Wanted to send this out to you. I am in. Well, we'll see how the recording comes out. I have like this massive. I'm in a place called Squim. It's work away month, and so I'm still working, but I'm on the road. So here's my situation. I'm in a crummy hotel, but it was the only thing available because it's Crab Fest, and every hotel is just completely full of like the nicer hotels. So I'm in a crummy hotel. I'm in a working class hotel tonight, and there's only one floor, right? And the guy outside my window. Now it's 10 o'clock at night. It's nighttime. I'm sending you this at the end of my day, and he is totally jamming out on like Eric Clapton's best hits right outside the window. So you might end up hearing like this lull of music. We'll see what the microphone picks up. But anyway, I'm in Squim. It looks like the word sequim, right? But it's called Squim. And Crab Fest. Didn't know that was happening. So absolutely gotta go. So I'll let you know how that rolls out. I'll probably put some pictures up, but Dungeness crab is kind of what there is today. And we went to the shores today. Oh my gosh. So write this down. It's called bullwhip kelp. It's so interesting. It's a plant that flies up onto the shore during storms and stuff, and it looks like this giant bullwhip, but it can gather carbon monoxide out of the water and put it inside of itself, and it makes itself like a float. It's really interesting. It's an interesting piece. So some guy on the shore this morning told me that they make it into pickles. So I'm definitely going to have to research that. So yes, that's my love weirdness for you today. Squim. You get to go on this ride with me. So anyway, today's topic, small versus insignificant, because that is, right, you're feeling like you're not able to do big sweeping things and that it's just small, and what does that mean? And then I kind of pushed it back at you, right? Which is small, you've got it wired in that small means insignificant. So I just want to kind of gather back on that magic piece to go, small does not mean insignificant. So, and when we talk about this from a prosperity mindset, right, we are really looking for how to rewire it, how to change the language and change the way that you interface with it. Because small can be mighty, right? That sounds a little bit like something I should have wrote on a dry erase board. But when we look at the small actions that you have, I think that's just actually where you can put a little bit of effort in to really understand what are the small actions that you can give, because they're a little more broad-minded, that those small actions can be a little bit more considerate, that you can give them in an unrestricted way, that they're brief, they're easy to give. These are gifts that actually aren't insignificant. I think what you're really thinking about is that because it's a small thing, that it's inconsequential, that it's meager, that it doesn't match, right? It doesn't match to what your capacity is. And that's actually where these two values are bumping up against each other. And the place that I got to kind of just have you kind of, throw it off the side of the boat here is small does not mean insignificant, especially when it's applied by you. So small does not mean insignificant when it is the gift that you are granting. And And this is where a little bit of thought on outcome will really help you. And it's actually another tool. We can kind of rearrange it. So if that's important to you, then we'll put that on our call. But you can also rearrange small things to be a way to magnify that you can actually give to more people. I have another executive who just says, hey, send me an email with your top 3 items, right? That she has a very small amount of time, but she wants that time to be significant. So she really limits how people are connecting with her. I have another executive, and he has another tool that's very similar, which is that he reminds people, you have to be concise so that I can really give you so that I can pack as much time into that 5 minutes as we have. So can you give me the concise question in advance, right? So just because something is small doesn't mean it's not important or that it's insignificant. Oh, we've got a 15-minute review. No. We've got 15 minutes to pack in as much stuff as we can. Let's utilize that time. And time is one of the things that is there. And sometimes it is, right, that they're not matching up to the narrative that you have or the narrative that you've built up, that you have the capacity and the availability to do these big, grand things. And the reality is that dripping a little bit of magic on people over time is actually how you build more within what they need, right? That these small cheerleading pieces over time really add up to be something really quite colossal. So I would look at them as building blocks. These small things that you can add aren't scanty and nondescript, right? We're not looking at that. We're really looking at keeping it into another piece. And here's where I would like to give you a sentence, which is the size of something is not nearly as effective, efficient, or as important as the tone. So just like you to switch out those 4-letter words from size and turn it into tone. What is the tone that I can give? And now you're instantly in magnification. Now you're instantly in the resonance that you're hoping for, right? So a person of action, which is what you are, right? You're kind and generous, and that you are a person of action. And because of that, this happens to me as well, right? I'm a fireball. And I often remind people that you don't need a fireball for this. You just need me to be a spark plug so that we can ignite, right? So we can snap in to where you have to go for you. And so when I start changing people's perspective of that they don't need a fireball, they just need somebody to act as a spark plug, right? To get them ignited. Much easier. So the belief that I want to reprogram in here, right? Of course, small is not insignificant. Those do not mean the same thing. But that small can also be just modest. It can be really unpretentious. I like small things because they are unpretentious. They're just simple and sweet and lovely. And when they're given in this new belief pattern, this new value structure, they're not inglorious. They're not paltry. They're not scant. That they can be adequate. They can be significant. And they can add up over time. So we want to just kind of, even though you have a button size of time, doesn't mean that it's not really enough to kind of cover them in the joy that they need. So that's kind of where I want to go with you. The outcome that I want you to look at is that small is really efficient for you. It's far more efficient for you to have a small amount of time with more opportunities than it is to do some of these great big things. You are a great big thing doer, and that part is true. You're going to keep doing those. But again, these smaller things are really meaningful. And some of the smaller things that you do that I personally appreciate, I love it that you write a note. I love it that you take time to just say thank you. I love it that you are really unrestricted with your happy thoughts, that you are quick to say a kind word, that these are small actions, but they also build safety for other people. So small is significant, and focusing in on the small things that really bring value, I think will really be a fun way for you to send your tone out, right? To have that resonance in all these little actions that are kind of gracious. Something as simple that I see you do all the time is you actually look at somebody's name tag and you actually call them by their name. You use people's names. You often end a phone call with someone's name, and I think that's pretty magical, especially in business, to say, okay, bye, so-and-so, good to talk to you. These are small actions, but they are not insignificant. And that bevy is kind of the homework assignment I would give, is really looking at the small investments that you can make that are in the right resonance, that they're in the right tone of what you're trying to magnify. And I think you could probably come up with a list of 4 or 5 things that are the small things that you can give to your team, to your family, to your relationships, that are really a little more broad-minded, a little, that are considerate and brief. So I am so glad we had this time today. That I always love watching you be well within. I'm going to kind of give you my sparkle encrusted hug, and thank you for being your vulnerable self, because it is beautiful. It is beautiful, and it is something that I personally appreciate, and you shine your light on so many other people. So thank you so much. And, goodbye from Squim. I don't know. We'll find out. I think I'm going to listen to this right away so that I can hear, to see if you can hear Eric Clapton in the background. So definitely look up Bullwhip Kelp. It's kind of magical. So anyway, be well. I'll see you soon. Night, night.